a new week. It's a new week. I am deep in reading. I'm really deep in reading. I don't know what this week is gonna be like. I'm not entirely sure, but I've been really just hanging on, babe. Hanging on. This book, I'm so into this book. In my last video, I made a haul of books that I bought for less than $5. This was one of them. I found this on the side of the road. Divine intervention, what can I say? This is fantastic. It's all about the kind of retellings of a famous New York City family, these magnates, people who have kind of established themselves as millionaires, billionaires, and the history of those families. From my understanding, it's told in like 3 different mediums. I'm on the first part, which is a biography of the Rask family, Benjamin Rask. He's the one who sort of started from tobacco and then ended up going into trading and stocks and made the majority of his fortune, him and his wife. His wife is much more of the philanthropist, as there always is that pairing when it comes to rich families, the philanthropist and then the one who's like, I love money. I'm also listening to Once Upon a Time in Bennington. And when I did that tour of Bennington College and the real places from The Secret History, everybody was like, oh my God, listen to this, you're gonna love it, it's fantastic. I'm fully obsessed with this podcast. I've told so many people about this podcast, people that have absolutely no relationship to Donna Tartt, to Bray Easton Ellis, to Bennington College. I fully suggest this book. Why do I keep on saying book? This podcast. Unbelievably investigated. There's a lot of scandal. I love it. It's all those rich people just going in there and getting gossipy. I've been going on a lot of morning walks and trying to get out before the sun goes down and then begin my work. Let's rave it. Why is it dripping? It's a new day. It's a great day to be alive. You know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. That song always reminds me of taking the school bus back home after a long day in elementary school. Anybody else remember those days? The radio station that my bus driver played was B95.5. The River, I think. Anyway, it's a new day. I have my coffee and I am currently going through and doing my taxes. Oh yeah. Get ready to fork out a lot of money. I am working with the lovely people over at Sctrintal to make that dream become a reality, or to make those taxes become a dream. Sctrintal is a Swedish company, so you know it's beautiful and clean looking.
So what is Sctrintal? Sctrintal is a digital canvas for converting creative ideas into structured knowledge. Essentially, it's a place where you can map your mind and declutter that one place that is most important to you. It is incredibly easy to use. I'm saying that because some of these I stumble and tumble in, but this is very easy to use, with its main tools being cards and boards. Cards are what you write your ideas on. Boards are where you place them. The cards are interchangeable, so you can move them from board to board, copy, paste, integrate, you know the drill. You can even attach web links, watch YouTube videos while you're mapping your mind, and share with others to create a fully immersive experience. Now, I'm using it as a visual mind map for my taxes, which honestly soothes me to see it in this format, but its uses are wide-reaching. It's an ideal place to categorize study plans, fitness goals, finances, and who knows, maybe you can map out the next Academy Award-winning film. I like to think of it this way. As your mind works, so does Sctrintal.
It makes it so much easier for me to understand. Everything is so malleable. Everything is so navigable. I feel like sometimes when I use things like this, I feel a little bit confined to the structure of it, and I'm not really able to, I don't know, just take my cursor and move something accordingly. But with this, I'm really able to just kind of take my cursor and move and shift things throughout all of the different boards that I have created. And the lovely people over at Sctrintal are offering you a discount as well. If you use the link in my bio, on a 10, you will get 10% off. That is valid for 4 weeks after this video is out. So run, skip, jump, like, scream and check it out. So I will be doing that for a good portion of the day. But if we're gonna be talking about money, we might as well talk about trust. I finished it. It's honestly probably been about 3 days since I started this. I zoomed through this. I really liked where this was going. Do I like where it ended? I don't know. There's room for contention. There's room to be fighting with people. I don't know what I'm going with that. Anyway, I liked this. I liked it, but I don't think I loved it, and I thought I was gonna love it. So let me give you a pretty standard idea of what this book is about, because I feel like I just touched upon it earlier in the video. This book is about the Rask family. No, it's not. It's about the Bevels primarily. So this book is written in 4 individual little novellas. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Hernan Diaz is playing a lot with format in this, which I appreciate. And he's playing a lot with the idea of how stories are told, how people are able to have different perceptions of a story, and kind of how you're able to configure your own narrative within the truth. So the first book is a retelling of this famous family called the Rasks. The husband is a magnate, a financier, and the wife is this patron of the arts, this absolute just beacon of hope. It's called Bonds, is the book, and it becomes like a national bestseller, but it's also controversial because the man who it's based off of does not like how he's portrayed. Fast forward to the second little novella within this, which is the memoir and the truth told by Andrew Bevel, who the Rask is based off of. A lot of this book isn't completed. It's incomplete. There's parts of it that feel like it's just kind of graphed out and sparsely told. So you're like, what's going on there? Was this even published? Huh? The third book is told, well, I don't want to give away what the book is, but the third book is told from the perspective of an individual who was closely tied to Bevel in a way that kind of would destroy him if the news got out. Nobody's to know how my success came to be. And then the fourth little novella is without spoiling it, told from probably the one person's perspective that you really want to know, if that gives you an idea without giving you the full idea. Okay, thoughts. I love the first 2 novellas the most. I don't know what it was. I think it's also because I'm somebody who reads nonfiction, and I love a good controversial historical figure. I love it. I love to just figure out how these people got their money and kind of the sugarcoating that these historical places and museums have lended to these people. So I love that. I'm all about it. Love going to Edith Wharton's mansion and being like, wow, so she did have time to sit and write all day. She's a multi-millionaire. They say that this book has ties to Edith Wharton and the whole idea of these people kind of living these incredibly wealthy lives without maybe not even necessarily deserving it. There's a lot of like little genres of insight into this. Where I started to kind of fall apart was actually the third novella. I didn't dislike it, I just felt like it was so much more of like contemporary writing, and I was really invested in the idea of this almost like archaic depiction of things. And the fourth novella, which was supposed to be the most arresting and startling part of the book, just felt like it was kind of thrown together and slightly predictable in a way. I liked it though. I mean, I liked it a lot, but I was expecting to love this. I mean, I sped read through this. This was a little intimidating in size, but it does not feel like a 400-page book. Diaz's writing, there were certain passages that absolutely blew me away. When he was talking about love and partnership, no matter how much it might have been absolutely heinously misplaced within the confines of the character that was saying it, it was so goddamn good. I was like, damn, I feel like I should just say that to Oleg when I'm talking to him, because it's such beautiful phrasing. I mean, this was fantastic writing. I would actually be really interested to read In the Distance by Diaz, because I'm totally impressed by him as a storyteller. I just don't think that this story ended up being so much of a love. But still a good book. Like, I did not waste my time on this. Ugh. I'm reading A River Runs Through It, which is a little bit of a tongue twister, but I'm liking it so far, based on Montana. How can I hate that? How can I hate it? Let's see how it goes. Who is she?
Night is over.
Books? No. Nada.
Coffee today.
Do you believe in the world of magic? Good morning, y'all. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Y'all decent? Maybe we're gonna sit down for this, so I can be much more attentive. I have been working out, okay? And that has been tough. I usually work out. I usually do yoga. I like to do yoga, but I was like, I'm gonna kick it up a notch. Kick it up a notch. And I have, and I can barely sit down. So I've been standing and doing a lot of my chores, my day-to-day, my reading. I've been doing that. And I have been reading, babe. I have been reading. As you saw yesterday, it was like 65 degrees in Brooklyn. It was insane. It was like Disneyland. Where Oleg and I live, it's such a popular destination for people to come and visit. It truly feels like Disneyland. And the prices are comparable, I will say that. You're getting that $7 coffee. You're getting it. And you're gonna love it. Anyway, I had a beautiful time reading outside yesterday. The sun was beating on me. I felt like the world just opened up to allow me to have a stunning moment with the book. A River Runs Through It by Norman Maclean. Look at how beautiful that cover is, though. I love that cover. I finished the titular story, A River Runs Through It. I kind of barely knew what that was about. I knew that it was about fly fishing, which is exactly what it's about, but I didn't realize the relationship between the characters. I didn't really realize what it was, and then I finished it, and now I know. Before we get into that, I want to talk about my relationship to Montana. I love Montana. Truly one of my favorite states. I know I say that about a lot of states, but Montana is 100% one of my favorite. I've been to 49 states, including Puerto Rico and Canada. So I've seen a lot, and Montana just always stands out for a multitude of reasons. And I think I'm not the only person who encounters that magic in Montana. Glacier National Park, which is not where this takes place, but is kind of a major point of Montana. Been there multiple times throughout the years, from young to older. Been to Missoula, which is actually where this book takes place. I went there 2 years ago. We had a friend who was staying there. What an enchanting little town. Didn't honestly, even at the time, understand the literary impact of that town until I was doing research on it and realized there was so much about that town that's just fascinating and enrapturing for writers and thinkers and movers alike. Whenever I read a book and I know where it takes place, it absolutely sinks me into it further, which is 100% the case with A River Runs Through It. This story is about Paul and Norman Maclean. Also, Norman Maclean started writing this when he was about 70 years old, or at least it was published. So he was an English professor, I believe, turned writer. So it's a very mature tone looking back onto the history of his life and his relationship with his brother and fly fishing and his family and the land. Very specifically, the land. This is about Norman and his brother Paul and how fly fishing had been this artery running through the both of them, through their family, through years, and it was this special place of connection between the two of them, these two completely dissimilar brothers who found this connection through fly fishing and the meditation of it. It's beautiful. If you know the story, if you've seen the movie, you probably know what happens at the end, so I definitely won't spoil it for you. It's very country and respect for the land and respect for the history of the land and respect for the people of the land, and it's beautiful. I read it outside. The sun was coming down on me. I have freckles that came on my nose after it, and it was beautiful. I don't think a lot of people would enjoy this book if the outdoors, fly fishing, and Montana aren't a huge love for you. But if that is, then absolutely. It's a very mechanical description of fly fishing at certain times. I don't necessarily care about fly fishing, but I do love a nonfiction read. So that I was like, oh yeah, let's learn how it works. Let's learn about how the weighting works and how you have to cast it off. Finishing that puts me about halfway through the book. So now I am reading the story with the beautiful name, Logging and Pimping.
What? I watched so many videos of a mountain lion. No.
I wish I had the ability to read in the car. I can only do it when it's stationary. That's something that I'm not able to do. That's a superpower, and people who are able to do that, you are an advanced breed, really. Just wholly advanced. But I feel like when I read this book, I want to be outside. I want to be out of the house. I feel like there's a connection to nature in this book, obviously. The last story I read very quickly, Logging and Pimping. It's about men using massive saws and the partnership that you had to form with your partner, kind of the sawing. One person had one end of the saw, the other had the other end. You would take these saws and you would log, and you had to form a partnership with your partner, and that's what it's about. And it was great. And now I'm on to this one. Keep reading outside.
took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but I finished it. I'm here to talk about it. We're on the last story, right? Which was USFS 1919, The Ranger, The Cook, and a Hole in the Sky. You weren't able to see the title in the last close-up video that I made, so I made you wait for it. So I hope you stuck around. Anyway, this was the longest story in this collection, and it took you through a lot of journeys. It wasn't exactly the most linear of stories. It wasn't as tame as A River Runs Through It, and it definitely wasn't as, I don't know, no, it had meaningful moments. It definitely had meaningful moments. Anyway, this follows McLean. He's a 17-year-old United States Forest Service ranger, and he's trying to break in, and he's given a lot of challenges by the cook and kind of the lead guy. His name is Bill. He's sent to the watchtower. There's snow. August 27th, there is snow up on the mountain, and he has to be in a tent that has a hole in it, and he has to fight a rattlesnake, a rattler. He has to fight a rattler, and he makes it. And he's good. He climbs up a tree to get away from the rattler. And so he's given all these challenges to make sure that he's worthy, right? He walks so long to get to a place, plays cards with the men, and he really shows that he's worthy of being there. And there's a touching moment at the end, and it shows kind of how he's destined for greatness, right? There's these defining moments in people's lives when you can kind of see when they're destined for greatness. Sounds very cliche, but there are those moments for people. I didn't think that this was the most standout story. I thought the ending was the most beautiful, but it took a little while to get there. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good book. I don't think this is going to be for everybody by any means. You do have to have a desire to want to read about the outdoors, to want to understand a little bit of history of Montana and the Forest Service and the mountains and the rivers and the nature of Montana. And if you don't like that, don't read it. Don't read it. There is an amazing line from this though, and it says Wet Ass National Park, which is a fake name that they wanted to name a plot of land that they were naming as rangers. And it says Wet Ass National Park, where all pilgrims from Brooklyn can stop their cars in the middle of the road to let their children feed the grizzlies and vice versa. That's beautiful. Anyway, I had a great couple of days, and I hope that you enjoyed watching them. It's been really rainy in New York aside from that one beautiful day, and it just showed my body that it's good to persevere and keep going because spring is close. Spring is so close. Anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. Please check out Sctrintal. Pray for me that my taxes will be successful because I'm still stressed out about them. I have a lot of gray hairs coming in prematurely, and the stress of taxes just adds to that even more. Check the link in my bio for Sctrintal. Make sure that you give it a try, give it a whirl. It's really fun, actually. It's very interactive and cool. Anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.